Hello, and welcome to the podcast series Life as a Coder. I'm Jennifer McNamara. Today is Monday, February 8th, 2021. We hope you're having a fabulous Monday. It's a little cold where I am here in Arkansas. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but it's February, right? So hopefully you're not staying too cold out there. We hope that this new season 2, will be a great addition for you. We really want to help you as a coder, and that's why our podcast series, Life as a Coder, is designed to help you. What challenges do you face in your life as a coder? What issues are you facing in your specialty? We know 2021 has hit us pretty hard with some very significant changes in the world of evaluation management. So what we like to do for our first episode here is talk about MDM, data navigation. So we understand that second section of the new table has gotten our heads spinning, right? It has our providers asking so many questions. So we're going to take a few minutes, just a brief overview of this element. And I'm going to pick on the 4s. I'm going to pick on 99204 and 14. Seems to be the most common level that providers are shooting for, as I've seen in my work in the E&M field in 2021. So as you notice, with most of these, you have categories now, so you can choose. For level 4, you only need one of the 3 categories. But again, if you're going to choose category 1, they do give you an option. You do have to meet a certain amount of them to use that category. So when they ask for the first option there, it says 3 of the following: a review of prior external notes from each unique source. So of course it says external, unique source. So external meaning maybe somewhere else, another provider, the patient's coming in, they're bringing their records, and you're going to review those records, the external notes from a unique source and another provider. Or you're going to review the results of a unique test, or you're going to order a unique test. Remember, the guidelines state specifically that ordering a test is included in the category of test results, and the review of the test result is part of the encounter and not a subsequent encounter. This was a blow to a lot of physicians, wasn't it, who were used to counting the review and the order simultaneously, or depending if it was a medicine section code or if it was a radiology section code, a lab. And so this is quite a change. But we want to make sure we understand when it comes to this unique test. They give us an example of a lab code, 80047 in our guidelines, which is a basic metabolic panel. And so this will include multiple tests, right? But according to CPT, it is identified by one CPT code, and so it would be considered a unique test. So anything identified by a single CPT code is a unique test, no matter how many individual tests are part of that code. So when it comes to results, I know a lot of our providers, especially mine in the ortho world, they may bring a patient back at a following visit to review the results of an MRI. A lot of times they need us to order a CT or an MRI to further diagnose the patient. So they have to order that, and then they have to bring them back, right, to review the results. And so since that is part of that original visit, that order, we're not going to be able to capture that review in that section of the data in the E&M, since we already counted it towards the order in our previous visit. So we want to be sure that providers get credit for that, don't we? Now, don't forget, in 2021, we have the option of choosing time for our providers. They can choose to bill by time or by MDM. So if MDM is really not getting it for them and they really want to really capture that time that they've spent, go ahead and have them bill by time and just calculate what's the better option for them. If they've spent more time and that's going to get them to level 4, or maybe the 3 is what they would have got with the MDM, you decide, and maybe query your physician if you're having trouble understanding some of their documentation. Help them improve in their documentation. Be very specific. Look over those guidelines. They're very specific as to what is included in the time. And we're going to discuss the time aspect in a later podcast, so watch out for that. And I don't know if many of you have reached out to my fellow colleagues who have some amazing podcasts on these topics. So I want to give a shout out to Codecast by Terry Fletcher. If you haven't had a chance to view her podcast, listen to her. She is an amazing podcaster that I learn from every day. So check out her podcast. She has some great information on all areas of the new 2021 guidelines. And of course, we are offering our E&M course to all that are interested. It's a course designed by the AMA. They've given us a lot of excellent tools and resources to help you understand these elements. So category 2, let's talk about that, independent interpretation of tests. So according to our definition, we are looking at an independent interpretation, so something that they have interpreted, and it says not separately reportable. So if you order a test that day and you're interpreting those results, a lot of times you order an x-ray in the office, you perform it in the office, and you, of course, document the results that you see. That's not considered independent interpretation because you are getting paid, right, for that test that day. It's on your claim form. But if you actually have a patient bring in an MRI, bring in a CT from somewhere else, you didn't order it, you're just interpreting it yourself, you're providing your own independent interpretation of that test, then of course you get to count this for category 2 because you're not getting paid for it separately in your test of your x-ray code or your lab code. And then category 3, discussion of management or test interpretation. So when it comes to this element, this category recognizes the work that's performed by a physician or QHP when they discuss external information with another provider outside their group. And so, as the definition states, an external physician or other QHP, one who is not in the same group practice or is of a different specialty or subspecialty. The individual may also be a facility or organizational provider, such as from a hospital, nursing facility, or home health care agency. So understanding those definitions is very key, isn't it? It also mentions the term appropriate source. So when it says appropriate source, this would include professionals who are not healthcare professionals, but may be involved in the evaluation of a patient's problem. That could be a caseworker, a lawyer, someone who is involved in their care. Especially for work comp cases, the caseworker will accompany them most likely. But it does not include discussion with family or information on caregivers. That's a different information there. So when we understand these different data elements, it helps us to put it into perspective. Now, I know there have been so many different situations that come up, but once we really grasp this data element and we learn how to interpret it, it's going to be so much better. So if we can just educate our providers and let them see that we have a good grasp on these new guidelines, help them to just see the patient, tell them what to document, give them documentation tips. Don't let them be overwhelmed by this new educational component of E&M. It's really a great thing that's happening. It's really going to make medical necessity so much more clear, not only for the provider, but the insurance company and the coders as well. I feel that it's going to be a great thing for us once we can wrap our head around all these elements, right? MDM has always been the driving force behind the E&M code, or it should be, right? Because it's where the medical necessity lies. And so the history and the exam are all important components. And as we've talked about previously in other podcasts, our providers still have to document those things. They still have to give you a medically appropriate history and exam. Because how could they come up with a medically necessary decision-making without doing a medically appropriate history and exam? It's not possible. We have to have those items. But again, we want to understand these 3 elements. And remember, with MDM, you have to have 2 of the 3. So you have to have something from the data or something from risk, or something from the problems, or something from problems and something from data. So as long as you have a 2 in there, you can level your code. Now, I know a lot of you are interested in seeing this visually. You're visual learners, not just auditory learners. So our podcasts are great for auditory learners, but if you really want to get down and you want to learn visually, I really encourage you to take our course. And of course, we do offer several items on E&M coming up in our subscription service for our monthly webinars in 2021. So I encourage you to join us for our March session that will be on how to audit a chart in 2021. So I encourage you to join us for that. You can find that, our webinar subscription, at www.ozarkcodingllc.com. And the link will be in the podcast for you to click on. And everyone who joins that podcast will get 10% off the AMA version of the E&M Compendium Office Visit Manual for 2021. It's a great manual, and you get 20% off free shipping. We offer that to all of our members who take our March webinar or who buy our subscription for the year. We encourage you to reach out to us with any questions or any suggestions for future podcasts. So this has been Ozark Coding Alliance with our Life as a Coder podcast series, episode 1. Have a wonderful Monday and have a great week.
Project Resume can make your medical coding dreams come true. From resumes to interview skills to navigating a successful career, Project Resume has the advice you need from coders you can trust. See all that we have to offer at projectresume.net. Be sure to reference this podcast when you place your order.